guys, welcome to the Homestead. I can't keep up with everything that has been going on. It's like it's getting to a point where it's impossible to... Everything's changing so fast. I guess Biden is alive now. He showed himself today. And then you've got just all of these conspiracies that just do not stop. Like the last one, there's a couple that are worth mentioning. One that I saw, that the body that was up on top of the roof is not actually the Crooks guy, whatever his name is. It's actually this other guy, and he's the one who's really, they switched the bodies out somehow, and that's this guy now. And then there was the other conspiracy that I saw that was talking about how a UFO was caught on camera flying over at the exact same time that the shooting took place, and that's where it came from. And it was caught on camera, and I saw it, and it's like this blur that it's getting to the point of insanity. And let me just veer off into Bible world for a second. I know some of you guys, stay tuned. I promise I'm going to talk about some homesteading stuff. Just give me a second, 30 seconds. There's a reason why in the Bible that 100 men put 10,000 to flight. You have to ask yourself, what would cause that? Why would that happen? How could 10,000 men run from 100? Lack of discernment and lack of trust. Lack of discernment and lack of trust. And that's where we are today as a nation, an entire nation. This is why you have a, flu virus with a 99.8% survival rate that sends the entire country into a tizzy. This is why right now we are in that exact state where 100 could put 10,000 to flight. Keep that in mind. All right. Now, with all that said, people are just going crazy out there. And, as I've mentioned before on my channel, I have been doing a number of consults for a number of homesteads, across the Ozarks. I only do this really in the Ozarks. I do some virtuals, outside of the Ozarks. I've done some from Texas, Iowa, some other places. So I'm doing consults. And one of the biggest things that keeps coming up is making sure that my clients understand the importance of water. And one of the first things I always try to touch on is P.A.C.E, primary, alternative, contingency, and emergency. And especially when it comes to water. But you can apply P.A.C.E for all kinds of different things. Primary, what is your primary? What is your alternative? What is your contingency? And what is your emergency? You can apply that for anything. Firearms. What's my primary firearm? What's my alternative firearm if that one goes down? Everything you can apply this to. Med kits. What's my primary med kit? What if that gets lost or stolen or something happens to it, gets damaged? What's my alternative med kit? You can apply this to anything, but primarily water, because water is so important. And so across the Ozarks, thankfully, we've been getting lots of rain, and we got some more maybe on the way here soon. So it's like water is so important, and we get a lot here in the Ozarks. And I try to get people focused on what happens if your primary water source, whatever that may be, goes down. What if it gets damaged? What if there's an earthquake and your well collapses or some kind of crazy thing happens? The world's full of crazy right now, so don't expect that to stop. It's only probably going to increase. If you have alternative and contingency and emergency sources of water, you're far better off than the large majority of the American public. Keep that in mind. And so the reason this video came up today is because I saw this image on Twitter this morning as I was sipping my morning brew. And, from Shepherd's Crook Coffee. They sent me this new shirt. So I was like, woohoo, I like that shirt. It's nice. I like the color and everything. Anyway, all that to say, I was sipping my morning brew, and this image comes up, and it is this image of this freezer that has gone out. And they're lamenting the fact that all of this expensive meat has gone to waste. And I know a lot of people in my audience, and this is one of the reasons why I recommend the P.A.C.E generators or any type of solar power generator. To have a way to, if for some reason your electricity goes out, to have a way to power up that freezer so that it can at least withstand some hours, maybe a couple days, a few days, depending on how large this power source is. But it's like, if you have this freezer full of meat, what kind of world of hurt do you find yourselves in if This is all going to waste. Do you have the ability to hold up and secure that amount of meat should that freezer burn out? Because the freezer's gone, not the electricity. The freezer has given up the ghost. What can you do? Let's just look at some ways we can do this. We can have a solar-powered or emergency gas-powered generator, something that would keep up. No. That's for if you lose electricity. But what happens if the freezer itself goes out? I have a backup freezer that we have. It's a small backup freezer. But that backup freezer, that small one, would allow me to freeze ice. It would allow me to freeze ice and then switch out the ice chunks that I've frozen in containers that I can now put into my defunct freezer to act as now a refrigerator. Does that make sense? So I'm now putting blocks of ice from the alternative freezer into the primary freezer in order just to keep it a refrigerator. That's not going to save your meat long term. So what do you do in the meantime? Do you have the ability to can? I've talked about this before, lots on my channel. Do you have a canner? Do you have the mason jars? Do you have the lids? Do you have the rings? Because you can put up and we do. We put up a lot of meat in our pantry. We can meat and put it in our pantry. It's very simple. Easy raw pack methods. We have videos on this in the past. We've done lots of videos in the past on this. Please go out and watch them. It's so simple. You can do it with chicken. You can do it with venison. You can do it with beef. You can do it with anything. Just raw pack it in there. Put it in, get your lids, get your rings, and put it in your canner and can it. And you'll be a cannon fool for a lot of hours trying to save all that meat, but it's better than it all going to waste. And you're using that alternative backup freezer to freeze blocks of ice to keep that stuff cool until you can get to it. And in an emergency, unless you can go out and buy a quick freezer. And if you remember, a couple years ago, a lot of these freezers were actually really hard to come by. You had to really search out and find freezers. And I don't know if that's the way it's going to be again at some point. But it seems like now if you wanted a freezer, you could probably go out and find one. But there was a shortage for a while, a number of years back on freezers. But it reminds me, I'm looking at this picture on Twitter, and I'm like, man, does this person have any sort of backup other than just going out and buying a new freezer? What if you can't do that? Have you thought about these processes? And so the overall purpose of this video is to remind you, as we get into the days of crazy, and as crazy gets worse, to keep thinking about 1 is none, 2 is 1. Or you can say it, 2 is 1, 1 is none. 2 of something is 1 of something, because that 1 something is going to go out. At some point, it's going to break. It's going to fail. So if you have 2 of something, you really have 1 of something. And if you have 1 of something, you really have none of something. When it comes to vital equipment, things that matter, things that you really want to be able to have on hand should hard times come or should an emergency pop up, you really want to think about having 2 of that something. That's so important, especially if it's a life or death something. And in my opinion, a freezer that houses probably thousands of dollars worth of meat, because meat is getting crazy and is only going to get worse as time goes on, especially because the World Economic Forum has blatantly said on their website that they don't want you to own it. They don't want you to have it. It's destroying the environment. And they are actively taking measures to not allow you to have it anymore. So if you have this freezer full of meat that you have paid a lot of money for, don't let it go out. That's just one example of 2 is 1, 1 is none. Being able to think alternatively, and have protocols, redundancy in place should things get crazy. Let me know what your favorite application for P.A.C.E. is in the comments below. Now, you can't use water because I already used that one. But your comment on P.A.C.E., primary, alternative, contingency, and emergency, on something that you see as important, may make something in someone else's head click and say, oh, you know what? That's a great idea. I need to get that in place as well. So your comment may help someone else. Please leave a comment below on what your favorite idea for P.A.C.E. or your favorite application for P.A.C.E. might be. Leave that comment below. It may help somebody. All right, guys. Check out our merchandise over at teespring.com. You can find our Stupid Should Hurt shirt. If we had more hurt in this world, we'd have an awful lot less craziness. We have an awful lot less stupid in the world. If only stupid hurt again. Also, I've been doing videos over at patreon.com. I just put up our blueprints for our chicken coop. If you're interested in that, that's over there. I have our butchering video series over there. I have our radios communication series over there at patreon.com/American Homestead. Also, our herbal extract books that I have. Oh, wait a minute. There we go. Herbal extract books. If you bought these on Amazon, I think one of them now is over $1,400. You'd be paying over at least $1,000 for each copy over at Amazon.com. And the reason they're so expensive is because of the valuable information contained within. These are over 100 years old, not these copies right here, but the information was written over 100 years ago by this guy named Dr. A.B. Howard, before the medical industry, put a kibosh on all of his great information. So this stuff is very valuable. It's very hard to find. It's out of copyright, out of print. And if you join my Patreon for as little as $1 a month, I give you the PDF copies of this book. You can download them, take them to a printer. We also recommend another printer over at patreon.com if you want to. But, just get these. Get them printed out. This is great information. This is my medicine cabinet. Okay, there's lots of great stuff out there that I've been talking about over the last year or two that you can go out and harvest right now because it's summer. Everything is growing. Go harvest and fill your medicine cabinet. And this gives you all kinds of color photos of the plants out there and what they are used for. If you join at higher levels, I really appreciate it. But you can join for as little as $1 a month, and I'll give you the PDFs. Very valuable information. Link in the description below. All right, guys. See you next time in the homestead. Bye. One of the best perks about living off-grid is that I never pay an electric bill. I love being my own power company, but that means when things go wrong, I have to be the one on call. So I try and use reliable components for my power production. For the last couple of years, I have been promoting P.A.C.E solar generators. I've been using them and abusing them, and as it turns out, they are pretty good products. They have power generators for all occasions, and they can be charged by permanent or portable solar panels, as well as AC power. They offer true lithium iron phosphate batteries, and this is important. Recently, a family in my area had a different brand that uses the less stable nickel manganese cobalt or NMC type batteries. The unit caught fire in the middle of the night. It was a scary situation and it caused damage to the home, but thankfully nobody was hurt. The generator, as you can see, was a total loss. This drives home the point on why it's so important to employ solar generators like the P.A.C.E brand that uses the much more safe and stable technology of lithium iron phosphate, otherwise called LiFePO4. They offer small generators for travel or for powering an entire home and everything in between. These are great backups to have in a medical emergency or to power a freezer full of your favorite meat products, or as I have shown in past videos, for even backup AC and DC power sources for ham radio communications. If the grid goes down, you're going to be thankful you have one of these units. You can find the link in the description of this video or click on the banner ad found on the front page of our website at AmericanHomestead.com. Right here, that banner ad right there on AmericanHomestead.com. Hey guys, did you know you can become a patron of an American Homestead? They get access to private videos, and we send them gifts from the homestead that we make here on the homestead. And we also enter our patrons into special giveaways that are only available to them. And before you go, please check out these other great videos. Go ahead, click. I'll wait.